Hey, what's up guys? Nature, welcome back to the channel, and this is my Moog Messenger. Rather than do like a full rundown of this, there's plenty of reviews out there already. I'm just going to kind of create a few little patches on this quickly and just take a look at what it sounds like, how easy it is to control, and just I'll point out a few things that I like and dislike maybe about the synth. But overall, I'm having a lot of fun with this. I think it's a really, really solid build. It's super fun to play. I love the keyboard. It's really nice. It's got a really good sort of stiff feel to it. For a mono synth like this, I think that's a great thing. Controls are really nice. I don't really get what a lot of the worry about this was when it was initially announced. I don't see them skimping too much on anything. Considering the price of this, it's a really solid build, and it sounds fantastic. So let's dive straight in. We're just going to initialize a patch here. And although it has presets that can be stored here, it's not a preset synth. You want to kind of grab this and kind of just build stuff straight away. There's our default saw initialized patch. Right, so let's get going. I'm going to start off with a really simple bass first. We're going to bring in oscillator 2. You can detune these. And there's quite a nice little sweet spot here for detuning, and then the controls can be quite sensitive, but also easy enough to find the spots that you want to be. We can actually tune this all the way up to a fifth. Alright, let's also bring in some sub. We're going to start off with a sub on the triangle, just so you can hear what that sounds like, and we'll bring that one in. Slowly move over to a square wave. Bring in a bit of glide. And let's start working on the filter. We're going to stick to the 4-pole low pass. They've all got pretty different characters this as well. So when we get into the res bass as well, I'll show you some nice stuff that you can do with that in terms of changing the whole character of the filter. A little bit of noise. Yeah, we lose a little bit of the bass there, and this res bass is really a game changer for this filter, I think. It just compensates that back again. Right, we've got a fifth there. I think that's quite nice as it is, but we'll just kind of work on this a little bit further. We've got that fifth there. But we can also sync oscillator 2. Let's maybe assign some LFO to the oscillator 2 frequency. Beautiful sync sounds there. There's quite a lot of hidden modulation as well. Not hidden, but you've got the sort of obvious preset routing here. You've got the cutoff oscillator frequency, oscillator 1 wave, and the sub wave. Same goes for this mod amount section here. You can do either 1 to 2 FM. You can also do the filter envelopes as well to the frequency for oscillator 2 wave, and then the sub wave as well, which is kind of unique that you can actually put the sub into pulse width modulation as well. But you've also got a few that can be assigned in various different ways. Like you can assign the keyboard tracking. Its default is to the filter, but you can assign that to anything you want. Same goes for these here. You've got the amp envelope and the filter envelope. Those can be assigned to each, can have an additional assignment. Same goes for this one, just by pressing and holding that down. And then you've also got some additional ones here, like the aftertouch. And what I'm going to do, in this case, we've got aftertouch here, so we can settings and then aftertouch. And then we'll just grab the LFO speed here. And these will add to the current value. So you see, like, if I can leave this value here if I want and use the tempo to dial that up. So I'm actually going to modify the speed of the LFO with the aftertouch. Cool. Let's move on to another sound. We spoke about the pulse width modulation on the subs. Let's actually do that right now. We're going to start off again with a initialized patch here. Let's actually remove the two oscillators entirely. Let's just listen to the sub by itself for now. That's the subwave, the square. You can go from the triangle to... And we're going to dial in some movement for the subwave. So we're going to use the LFO again. We're going to come down to the subwave here, add some modulation to that. Right, so now we've got some pulse width modulation happening on that one. Let's kind of do as much pulse width modulation as we can across the board. So we could also do the same LFO, assign that to PWM on either filter 1 or 2. This one has the oscillator 2 waves, so we could actually use the filter envelope here. And let me just show you something with that filter envelope as well. Let's... try this one out first. We'll use the oscillator 2 wave from the filter envelope. And let's just bring this one up and close down the sub again, just so you can hear what's happening. So we want to push this into the square wave there. If we add this modulation now, so we're getting that from a thinner pulse to the square, using the envelope, the filter envelope. If we wanted to set that as more like an LFO behavior, you could just turn on the envelope loop. Does kind of work a bit like an LFO, additional LFO there if you have that in loop mode. We're going to use that as a filter modifier in just a second though. So let's rather assign the additional LFO to our oscillator 2. So we're going to hold that one down. And then assign the LFO shape here. And we can also do this via the keys as well, how much we want it. And again. again, just want to dial that back. They are quite sensitive, these modulation amounts. Right, so we got pulse width modulation on oscillator 2 and oscillator, or the sub oscillator. Let's detune 2 slightly as well. And let's bring number 1 back in again on probably a saw, I think. There we go. Let's set that to the 2 pole so you can hear that. And we'll get another bass sound going here. So I want the kind of hold level to be quite low down, but when you're playing as well, sometimes you tend to not get that re-trigger because obviously it's a mono synth. What we can do is just turn on the multi-trig, which will re-trigger the envelopes on each key press, regardless of whether it's being held or not. Get this sounding nice and woolly now. I'm going to bring a little bit of the feedback, which is going to loop the signal from that back to the mixer again. Just going to bring in a little bit of distortion. Cool. Let's do another one while we're on the subject of that feedback and this res bass and we're in this filter mode. I'm actually just start this over again. And this is a sound that I really like that comes out of this when you start tweaking the filters a little bit here. You can get it to growl a bit like a kind of like sort of signature Oberheim growl on the filter, but a little bit more aggressive. And this thing does tend to push you in quite aggressive territory sometimes. Let's switch over to the low pass. Bring up the oscillator 1. And you really want to kind of push a sub through for this. And maybe we'll just bring in 2 as well, I think, and just 2 detuned saws plus the sub oscillator coming in. We're going to stay in the 2-pole filter. I'm pretty sure the SEM filter is the 2-pole as well. And now, listen to the difference here. And this is what I mean with this, saying that this gives it a completely different character. We're going to bring our filter down. I want to turn the resonance right up. Oh, and I should mention that this can be key tracked as well. So you can tune this. There we go. Turn that off for now though. So that's a typical whining of the resonance here. Listen to what happens when I turn this on now. It's going to compensate for the bass, but when you are in extreme levels of resonance like this, you start getting this amazing growl from this. That's great. Especially in these low down notes. We can actually get that even further by using the OC cutoff or the oscillator 2 filter FM. So we're going to send this one to modulate the filter. Take a listen to what happens. We can push that down low. It's sending the triangle wave to this by default. You can't send the wave shaped or saw waves, unfortunately. Put a little bit of the glide on. We also haven't even gauged the feedback yet, so if you really, really want to push this into ridiculous territories, you can start bringing up the feedback too. Now it really starts to fall apart. I'm just going to put a bit of delay and reverb on that for you. Cool. Let's move on. Let's take a look at some different sounds. I want to show you a little bit more of the modulation that you have here, but also some of the sequencer and ARP functions. Let's check out the ARP first. So we'll kind of just build a sound first around for this. And just maybe just stick with a saw. And we'll bring it up. Bit of sub as well. We'll leave oscillator 2 down for now. We're going to check out some of the other filter types as well here. So maybe we'll go with a band pass. Okay, if we wanted to get the Arpeggiator going, you've got this random mode, which will give you this random Arpeggiator. You can also choose pattern, which is Arpeggiator as well. And this is the editor for that, so you can... we can also hit hold, just to let that run. So you can turn on steps here. Aside from that as well, if we go to the ARP pattern, this is how the ARPs are going to be played, the algorithm essentially for the Arpeggiator. The octaves. You can also adjust things like the gate length. Another thing that I like is this keyboard SNH. If we assign that to something like the filter, for example, on each key press you're going to get a different value. Okay, a little bit delayed there. Try out the high pass filter. Just change the direction of that as well. Okay, I'm just going to remove that actually quickly. Reassign that to the decay time. There we go. Now you got some sort of randomized decay time on the envelopes. Right, let's also just try something here. We can actually just loop this filter envelope here. So we're looping the filter envelope. We can do the same with this one, even with the keyboard SNH running as well. Let's see what happens with that. Let's actually turn that one off. Or rather assign that to this one. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Some interesting stuff happening there. I could like the sort of unpredictability of that looping envelope as well. Let's do one more. We're going to look at the sequencer now for this and maybe try and push the tone of this into a slightly different direction as well. Hold off. Let's just stick with oscillator 1 for now. Let me try to find a triangle wave there. Right, let's look at the sequencer quickly. I'll stick with that for now. So in the same way, we can set the sequencer to play by going here. And if you have a sequence loaded up, you can hit play and it will run. You can have up to 64 steps here. I find it quite inspiring to come up with ideas here. Let's, we're going to be working in a C. So I'm going to first just load up our note pool because we'll do some probability stuff here in a second. I'm going to have the note pool basically full of higher notes. So we're going to do those settings and choose the note pool. Maybe one or two low ones. There we go. Right, so now whenever I use one of the note probabilities, it needs to select a random note, but rather than just playing any random note, it's going to select a random note from the pool instead. Right, so we can come off that. Let's record in a sequence. We'll come back to sequence here. We're in sequence mode now. Okay, We'll hit record. We'll stop with that. Let's play that back now. Right, so let's play around with the sequence now to give us some variation on this. I'm going to come over to note probability. We can move around the sequence here, or the banks of sequence. Let's say we want to just change some of the last notes, maybe those three. And this one will change more. Now we also want to set the amount of probability here, so we can just go back to the note probability here and select how often they're going to be changing, or the percentage. That's really, really interesting there. Let's work on the sound a little bit, you know. Let's just take a look at some of the wave folding stuff. I'm actually going to use the... We're going to switch out to oscillator 2. We're going to use oscillator 2 via the filter envelope to change the waveform. Use the keyboard SNH here to adjust the amount of this. And there you go. So that's the Moog Messenger. I am absolutely loving this at the moment. Yeah, it's fun to play. It's simple, but it's great, and it's got a fantastic sound. Full MIDI implementation. So I think when this gets a sequencer or an editor, I should say, eventually, Moog does tend to do pretty good editors for their stuff. I think that'll really open up a lot of additional functionality in this. I've started putting together an editor inside a Bitwig. There's a bug that I'm trying to figure out at the moment, which keeps sending some sort of random message and messing up the controls. That may be because of Bitwig, or maybe because of another controller that I have attached to the system. I'm not quite sure yet. They are high resolution 14-bit controls, so you do need to send an MSB and a LSB signal to it. So you can do that in Bitwig, and I'll maybe do a video on how to do that. But yeah, I think once you have an editor that you can apply additional modulation to, especially when you are working in Bitwig and you have all of these sort of CV stuff that you can send. This doesn't take CV controls, but maybe they will add some means of assigning that to something. Currently it's a CV pitch in, but it would be really nice if you could get that pitch to actually route to, something on the actual panel here. But anyways, I think this has a lot of potential. Yeah, and great sound, great build. It's just a fun keyboard to play. So go check this one out, and I will catch you soon. If you want to support the channel further, you can go check out the Patreon page. I will get some multi-samples online at Patreon and some one-shots and things of this quite soon. I also have a Moog Voyager in the studio at the moment, so I may do a shootout between the two. They've got different sounds. One being a more modern Moog. This one's a little bit more punchy, I think. In some respects, I actually even prefer this sometimes. The Voyager's a lot more battery, a lot more low end in it as well. But it'd be good to maybe just see sort of the difference between. Anyways, I will catch you soon right here on the channel. Till then, take care. See you then.